are we are live. It's official. Yay.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Monique. How's everything going?
Good. With some purrs.
I know. Oh, I can take that off. I just did that. I left that banner up. All right.
Don't tell anyone.
Wasn't supposed to be up there.
That's okay. My intro could be that as well. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, you're my very first guest on the live stream. So thank you. I'm glad that you decided to take this this chance with me. I was like, oh, fingers crossed that all technology goes well, that you're able to connect. Because again, with this being the first time, I'm like, I don't know what it's going to look like for you, and if I'm going to even know that you're in there. But the good thing is with StreamYard, it was easy to tell.
Super easy.
Hey, Diana.
Of course, Diana's here right now. Yay. I don't know if I could see the... Hi, Diana.
Hello. We were just talking about the time zones before we went live. So we had to get it straight that I'm East, Diana's Central, and then Monique's Mountain. So we got it straight. Yeah. All right. I'm Vicki, and I'm the host of the Marketing Stream live show. I'm your Plateau to Grow marketer, and Monique is my guest today on the show, and she is with Silver Paw Studio, which is a pet photographer in Fort Collins, Colorado. Thank you so much and welcome, Monique.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And not that anyone knows, but I moved to the town next to Fort Collins, so I'm in Loveland. Yeah, which is kind of a pretty name, right?
Yeah, we have a Loveland not too far from where I live too.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like the name, Loveland. How can you go wrong with that, right?
Yeah, our post office is very busy at Valentine's.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Oh, Diana says, looks great. I see and hear both of you great. Awesome. Thanks, Diana. I appreciate you letting us know that. It's always challenging. You're like, we can hear each other behind the scenes, but then when you go live, you never know. So
yeah, but here we are. It's seamless.
I was going to start it off with something fun. Okay. So two things. I was going to do like it's called a rapid fire question. It's just a question, and typically you answer with either one word or just something short. And then I was going to do a would you rather, and anyone who's here, if they would want to answer, they can do that as well. They're both fun. So, what was funny is that a lot of the would you rathers had to do with animals, and I was answering for you. And I'm like, I don't know if that'll be as much fun for her. So I'll do one that doesn't have anything to do with animals.
Okay. I'm ready. I try to do rapid fires on my radio show too.
Oh, do you? Awesome. I'm just starting to do those. So I think it's a great way to just start the conversation and have some fun along the way too.
Yeah.
Okay. The rapid fire question is, what is your favorite board game?
Probably Scrabble.
I like Scrabble too. Mm-hmm. It changes every single time.
Yeah.
It's always different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the would you rather is, would you rather always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes early?
20 minutes early.
Me too.
And because I consider myself a recovering late person. One of the things I said this year is like, even if Google says it takes 20 minutes to get somewhere, it doesn't account for traffic or construction or parking or finding the building. So my whole thing this year was going to be early.
Yes, exactly.
Which is much easier now because there's fewer places to go.
Yeah. Well, and when we don't have kids either, it makes it a lot easier when they're younger. It's all about, estimating time, and something always goes wrong, whether it's having to change clothes at the last minute or, something happens. So it's a lot easier as we get older. Fun will now commence. Thank you so much for being here. He was in the Pat Flynn live chat. That's how we met, was through his live show that he has every day, including the weekends at 8 a.m. Pacific. So even an hour behind you, Monique.
Yeah.
And 11 a.m. my time. So it's a great show. Anybody who's watching this and joins us live, or if you're watching the replay, I highly recommend that you check out Pat Flynn and his live show, because he teaches so much information, and it's amazing how much he gives away for free. So,
is that on YouTube, Vicki?
On YouTube. Yep.
Good
Yeah.
to
And he's really good. So, all right, well, let's get started. If you could just go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your company.
All right. How much time do we have? Just kidding.
All day.
I will be concise. So obviously my name is Monique. I own a pet and people photography and videography studio here in Loveland, Colorado. I moved to Colorado 8 years ago from the Pacific Northwest. In the Pacific Northwest, I also ran a portrait photography studio because at the time I was raising a blended family of 5 children, and they were all about the same age. So high school age, you can imagine a lot of senior portraits, family portraits, but that was a secondary to managing a veterinary practice. So I managed a vet practice in the lovely Camas, Washington, and lived there. And from a lot of circumstances, ended up here in Colorado. Love it here. You can imagine sunshine versus rain. Tough choice. Yeah. And then, when I moved to Colorado, our youngest was going into high school, and she was the only one who came. So I was like, what am I going to do? Do I want to work at a vet? Do I want to continue my photography business? And so, of course, within a couple of weeks, my vet office was like, hey, here in Colorado. Don't you want to work here as relief? And so 2.5 years later, at that vet office, I finally was like, I need to really pursue my photography. It's calling me. And so I took that last year at the vet practice to build up my photography business again here in Colorado, thinking it would be people primarily. But Colorado, where I am, has CSU, Colorado State University, which is a very esteemed veterinary college university. So lots of veterinarians come out of there. So very, very pet friendly area. And once I stopped working at the vet office, I was like, I miss all the animals every day. And it's hard to break into a very saturated niche. You can, as far as people photography. So I started volunteering at the shelters, which up until now, I went to almost every week for the last nearly 6 years. And then I had 2 studios. And anyway, so now I've combined everything as of a couple of years ago, and it's Silver Paw Studio Pets and Their People, which is a little bit of a niche in this area. And a lot of pet photographers only photograph dogs or dogs outside, no people. They don't understand how to pose people. So I've got a little bit of special knowledge there in posing people, and I can work with cats, and I can bring my studio to you. I have all the pieces.
Nice.
And then last year when I started YouTube, I added in video services for people too.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That's my concise answer.
I mean, just in sharing all of that too, my mind was going, oh my gosh, there's a piece of your business that during this crazy time too, is just something that you can't do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't do that either. And then thinking of especially helping out at the shelters where there's probably an increase in the number of animals that were, at least that's what I was hearing on the news, is that people that had to leave their homes or they couldn't afford to take care of their pets anymore, they were dropping their pets off at shelters or, God forbid it was on the side of the road or something, but there's probably an increased need for the photography at that point too. And it probably really needed your services, but unfortunately we couldn't do anything about it.
What's really interesting about that, Vicki, and I don't know if it's just my area, because that was my first thought too. So in the very first part of the strict stay-at-home orders, I was doing everything I could to help the staff and the volunteers and the fosters take better pictures with their phone of these animals that needed adoption. So that's what I was doing from home, is I was creating content for them to take better pictures, emailing them newsletters, things like that. But what's been interesting in our area is that because so many people are home, they are taking this opportunity to adopt animals.
Yes.
So there are very few actually in our shelters. The last time I talked to them, they were getting ready to ramp up and let volunteers come back. They said, well, our animals are getting adopted so quickly that, I don't even know if we'll put the picture up.
Because they're doing so quickly.
Yeah. So can I tell you a project I'm kind of working on right now?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I've been reaching out to them, okay, what can I do for you? How can I help? And one of the things I'm doing is that one of the animal rescues I work with, they have merch, shirts and tote bags. And they said, we want to kind of spruce up our Etsy store. They're having a hard time raising funds. And I said, great. So they did a porch drop of a bunch of their merch, and I took that to my studio to photograph for them. So that's how I was able to help them through product photography. And I'm actually working on a whole YouTube video on how to do that.
Nice.
So that's been one way I've been kind of at least keeping my skills sharp during this time.
Yeah. What was it like? What was kind of like going through your mind when you realized that we were all of a sudden going to have to go into lockdown, and with your business being so, on site or in person with people and animals? Like, what was kind of going through your mind of like, oh my God, I'm not going to have any work? Or did you kind of go through this mindset of, okay, kind of like I'm panicking, but yeah, I can make this happen. And I just have to be more creative with what I do in my business?
Oh my gosh, yes, all of the above. So I was in the same boat as everyone. I didn't know how long it would all last. And, for me personally, I had already spent 2 months at home because I'd gone through really major surgery at the end of January. So in my world, I had been stuck at home at that time in an apartment. And I was so excited to get out and get back to work. And I had 1 week. So I went to all my post-op appointments, and they're like, okay, you're good to go. And so I went to like my mastermind group and marketing and met people for coffee. And then boom, in 1 week, that was all gone. And so my business, who I'd not been able to do any business, I couldn't lift anything, even my camera, for 8 weeks already. I'd had 1 week window, and then who knows when I could get back out again. So it was another at least month and a half. So I was already kind of like, all right, well, and I'd been thinking about things I could do during surgery recovery anyway, and kind of things that I wanted to put back on my goal list for this year, like redoing my website. So, when it all came down, I wasn't sure how long it would last. I thought, okay, this will be a time for me to sharpen my skills, update my website. Hey, Tracy, do some other back end things, look at my client workflow. If someone were to call me, say country all opens back up tomorrow and they want this service, does my customer journey look cohesive and simple for people? So those are some of the things I thought, I'm going to work on this then. And of course there was ups and downs in there too. There was days the news really hit me and I just like played in the snow,
Sometimes that's okay, right? Sometimes you just have to play in the snow.
Or I painted, or I did something totally different, or I just watched YouTube tutorials all day. So there was things like that, but I've tried to keep my newsletter going the whole time. And my newsletter has personal stories in it. It's not just this, and this that I'm working on, as resources. There's other things like, hey, everyone, I'm having a down day. You probably are too. We're in the same. Yeah. I can relate. And so I put a lot of that, and I don't think I've missed any weeks on my newsletter. It's every week.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And
you have to get your customers kind of sending in their stories too, to say, anything relatable that
they will reply. I've gotten a lot of replies like, oh gosh, I'm in the same situation, or hang in there, things like that. So I've tried to keep up with that. I've let people know, hey, I can do video editing for you if you send me your footage. So I did have a client that had footage of their coworker had retired and they did a car parade. And so I counseled her ahead of time, like hold your camera horizontal, as steady as possible, things like that. And then I was able to edit all the footage together for her as a surprise to the retiree. Aww. So that's something I can very easily do from here, is edit video. So I tried to let people know that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you mentioned earlier too, when you were talking about what you were doing during, like after you had that week, that you could actually be out and about, and like how you were evaluating your business. You talked about customer journey. So my ears perk up when I hear that, because it's one of the things that I help businesses with as well. And it can be very overwhelming, just to think of, all the customer journey possibilities. And really it's a matter of just kind of looking at where the most common journeys that they're taking, and making sure that you have, presence there. So when you talk about customer journey, what was it that you did so that we can see and hear what it's like for your business?
So for me, as an established business, I kind of know, I've done it enough times that I know some of the journey, but it was really worth taking a look at. Like through my CRM, my customer management, I have like an automated thing, like almost like a checklist. So I get an inquiry, we set up a planning meeting. So this email that I send out, and it's already pre-populated. So it's a section of emails that go along with the journey. And so I needed to create that better for my video clients. So I'm working that. Okay, so if someone gets an inquiry, what's the next email? What's the next email? What do they need to do next? So they understand the next steps for everything, and I understand, and it's easy. Who was it that says you confuse, you lose, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone confused, because if someone's reaching out to me for photography or videography, they're already kind of overwhelmed. And so I want to make it as simple as possible for them, and one step at a time. And one way that that's been really, really helpful is because of COVID. I have looked at that customer journey, and my business is very custom, and we meet many times in person. Historically. So like right now I'm trying out this like limited edition mini session type of thing where we don't have a planning meeting in person. We will talk about it on the phone or email. When we have the session, it's going to be just 15 minutes. I'm going to choose the outdoor open location that not a lot of people go to. We're going to have your gallery online, which I haven't normally done. I would show them in person. They can order some products from their gallery, which I've not really done before, and it will deliver directly to them. So in my client journey, I've taken that in-person piece out because I know my journey, and I've changed it up for during COVID.
Yeah, wow. You've got a great process in place too. Tracy says she loves talking about a customer journey. Tracy and I are so alike. It's so funny. Her and I both have a passion for marketing, customer journey, personas. She's across the pond. Was it Donald that said confuse?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Oh, story brand. Yeah, building a story brand guy. Yep.
He's got so many great quotes. It's hard to keep track.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got a great process in place too. And the transition that you made between in person and everything that you did with, relying on that face-to-face interaction, that you were very easily able to adapt online and continue with your business, at least continuing to make money, I should say, just in a completely different digital way. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, as overall, it's good to look at your customer journey. But then during times like this, where you want to make sure everyone's safe and healthy, and, look at your customer journey again, because there could be ways you could tweak it to make everyone more comfortable and easier to work with you.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's important too. And it sounds like you've got great practices in place for maintaining those contacts so that if anything changes, then you can look at the customer journey and modify it accordingly. If it's, the 80-20 rule, maybe.
Yeah.
80% of your customers are going a different direction versus where you thought they were going.
Yeah.
And just change it accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I attended your live session on Monday, which was, to me, it was very exciting because it was something completely new, and I've never attended, one of your live sessions, but then also the topic was very interesting to me as well. You were going over, and tell me the intent behind the original piece, but when I stepped in, you were going through brainstorming options with other pet photographers on what they could do to help keep their business going. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what I found, which is kind of interesting, is when I started YouTube a year and a half ago, there wasn't any other pet photographers consistently posting. And I really wanted that resource out there, especially for people at the rescues. So if they need a little bit more technical information. But what has happened over the year and a half is I've gotten many, many, many more questions about the business side of it. Hey, I'm amateur now, or hobbyist, or I'm volunteer, and I want to become pro. And what do I do for this? What do I do for that? And so in the last few months, especially with COVID, I've really looked at, okay, what are my numbers on YouTube? And there's so many aspiring pet photographers out there. I thought, okay, well, they need help. There are a couple of other people out there educating pet photographers, but not that many, really, if you look at every industry. And so I've started crafting some of my YouTube content around the business side. And so my produced video last week was about my 8 income streams from 2019. It wasn't just photographing your dog and your family. It wasn't 100% of my income. And so I had 8 different ones, and it was just a percentage, a pie chart. And so I thought, I think we could build off that. I know there's more than 8 ways you can make money as a pet photographer. And so that was the intent behind that live stream on Monday, was to continue the conversation from the produced video on Friday. And now I have a email group specifically for pet photographers and from that email to continue the conversation. I thought it was pretty lively and pretty informative. We doubled the number of ideas.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. And some of those were things that you could do right now from home.
Yeah. And I loved how you had like a starting list too, like, okay, here are the ones I came up with, but now collectively and collaboratively, let's come up with a whole list that all of us can benefit from.
Yeah. And it's kind of fun because I had wanted when we moved, kind of in the middle of surgery recovery and right before COVID, we moved. And then I don't love the color in here, but I thought green room, it kind of has that movie feel. So I'd always wanted to do a live show on YouTube, and I thought it would be something different, but here it is. And so it's live from the green room, and I've live streamed for a very long time, probably since its inception. And I just love it. And now that I've been doing it for a few weeks, I have regulars. I have people from all over the country that tune in for that and want to be a part of the conversation, ask me questions personally. That's one of the few times right here, right? That people could ask Vicki all here in the comments, what do you think about this? And we can all talk together.
Yes.
It's been awesome. Great connection. So, just for people watching, I don't want to hijack your show, Vicki, but
you're fine.
Minutes before we went live, thanks. Oh, carte blanche. All right. Just make the screen on me. Wow.
Yeah. Here, let me change the screen.
No, don't do that. So right before we went live, I was telling Vicki, like, this is actually the first time we've met. But it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Even though I've watched Vicki's live stream, she saw mine. We've communicated via email, and it really felt like I already knew you because there's something about live streaming.
Yeah, there is something about it, even though you're not there. And it just gives you that, it's like a step closer to building a connection with someone. And when they know that you're there and you're showing up on a regular basis, I think that helps reinforce the fact that you're trying to build a connection with people.
Right.
And it sounds like you're building an audience. If you've got regulars already on your live show and, they continue to show up, are those other pet photographers who are coming to you and saying, hey, you're the leader in this space, I want to learn from you?
There are people who have been following my YouTube channel. So and many of those people actually are now on my email group for professionals and aspiring pros, but they've emailed me prior to that, or they sent me a DM on Instagram. So a lot of those people have found me and then communicated with me. So now we're just doing this on YouTube as well.
Okay. Yeah, Diana said she's been watching you on live stream since 2015. That is a long time.
That's how I met Diana. Yeah. I have met some amazing people through live streaming.
Yeah. And I'm starting to attend more. And I'm finding that both through LinkedIn and YouTube, you can build a connection and an audience with people very easily if you engage in the conversation.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting to see where live streaming goes on LinkedIn. That's fairly new still, right? Yeah.
Did you see? Can you see the comments when I pull them up? I think you can.
Yeah. Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah. Let's see. Tracy, you ladies have great energy. I'm loving watching my first YouTube. Oh, is this your first time, Tracy, doing any YouTube live? Oh, thank you so much.
Balloons and streamers for Tracy.
Watch us. Yeah. It's your first time being on here. You're my first guest. This is my first time doing a guest live. Oh my God, so many firsts. This is awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Tracy and Diana. That's how we actually met. That's how we got connected, was through Diana. She introduced us. She's good at judging characters and being a good matchmaker between just professionals and people in general.
Yeah, she's good at making those connections.
Yeah, she is. Well, that's great that you've got so many people coming to you, and you actually could become that person who's the leader in the space on YouTube and become, as more people become aware of what you do and how you can help them in their business. That would be amazing for you.
Yeah. And what's interesting is even though this has been building, I didn't really see it.
So that's the way that it gets built, though. If you don't plan for it, it just kind of happens naturally based on what you're doing and how you're providing it.
And then just one day I was thinking, oh, hey, this is the bulk of the information that people are asking for. Huh.
What more can you do with this?
I think I'll do something with this.
Yeah, exactly. I went to watch one of your videos, and I think it was the one that you posted. It wasn't the live. I think it was the last video that you uploaded, probably the one on Friday. And I looked at your description. That might have been where I got your contact information that I put in the description on this video.
Okay.
But I was just like, oh my gosh, you've got so many like links, and you provide so much value just in the description alone, helping people with, camera and equipment. And I don't know that I watched the whole thing. I think it's still pulled up. I got like 3 videos I need to go back and finish watching. I have this tendency to have the shiny object syndrome.
Same.
Or squirrel, since, kept
yes.
talking. I need to go back and watch it. But I did see that, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome that she provides so much information for people. Just give it to them a click away, and they can navigate to wherever you're helping them.
Yeah. And, YouTube is really well known for its technical information. And so I knew that as a photographer, people would ask all about my gear. So just put it in there. And then the courses I've made, links in there that go beyond, like, you can't say everything on YouTube. It would be too long a video. So making courses, I've got a couple of those, and books and things like that. Yeah.
Are the courses ones that you made during COVID, or were those ones that you had out there before?
No, before. So about 4 years ago, I made one for cat photography. And then about 1.5 years ago, I did a cell phone photography for pet lovers. And I was just about to film another course when everything happened, and I had to shut my studio up. So
have you noticed an increase in the number of people buying the course since COVID?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd have to look at those numbers. That's a good point. You and I both follow Diana, and she's got all kinds of resources, and some of mine might be because of the platforms I've put them on. So I need to look at that some more too, because courses are a great way during COVID.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's going to, like, once things start becoming open again, which they are across the country, and Tracy, I think they are. I'm not sure if they are yet where you are. If you could let me know. Everybody obviously is opening at different paces. When things start to go back to a new normal, so where people can freely go out and about, let's assume that they've got money to spend. Do you think that your business will go back to the way that it was, or do you think it's going to be completely different?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because I was already thinking about that probably 6 months ago. One of the things with photography is it's really busy in the fall, but it tends to kind of slow down the rest of the year. So you do other types of photography during that time. And I really loved the video productions I was able to do last year. So I'd already thought about adding that as a bigger piece of my pie anyway, and adding more courses. So I think I'll probably do more video. I might continue to offer these less contact photo sessions, because this could be another 6 months or a year. And then I really want to help other people who are thinking, okay, if we do have to work from home again, at least I'd have this course ready, or I'd have these photos for content on social or their website or whatever. So I think it's going to be more on the top of mind of my clients too. Or, hey, our family can finally get together. Like I'm hoping I can have my wedding in November, but I still don't know. And so I know that people will want those photos. And so I want to be able to come in during those windows.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be everybody wants photos. So it's a matter of my fiance, Tom, and I were actually talking about this not too long ago, because he's a photographer, but he doesn't have it as a business. He does it for fun. But he's got, if you looked at all the equipment and all the lenses and all the lights and all the, he's got all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you could really go into business here. He just doesn't want to, because it's a lot of work, as you know, to edit photos and even videos. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that the other day, and just, what's it going to look like when people go back and they can actually start, doing things on their own. And he said, more and more people aren't reaching out to photographers because they've got their phones. And I said, yeah, but it's two different, levels of professionalism. It's one thing to take, a random selfie or just, group photos when you're at an event, but it's a whole different ball game when you hire a photographer for an event, and they can take candid shots, and they take the speaker shots, and, they put together an entire package and tell a story of a particular event. Same thing at, a wedding, or, baby being born, or family photos. So it's a lot more than that. And I think that's the true value that hiring a photographer is going to have, especially after.
Mm-hmm.
I think having new appreciation for not just life in general, but, each day, and then also the people in their life, not because they've been forced to live with them day in and day out, but just the fact of, a new appreciation for, why they're here.
For sure. And, we've been forced to live without a lot of people. I hate to say forced, like I want to do this because I want to make sure, like, both of my parents have lung issues. I'm not going to visit them. You know what I mean? But it's all about education, really, because although I do educate people how to take better pictures with their phone, snapshots are awesome. Once a year or however often, you should get those pro photos, because guess what happens? You drop your phone in a lake. Your Google account crashes. You don't have any of those photos on your phone anymore. Facebook shuts you down, and that's the only place you have your images. So it's all about educating people, because they don't understand until it's all gone. And for businesses, you could take a cell phone picture, but then try to print that on a product or try to print that on a brochure. It does not going to look that great.
No.
So it's all about educating people about when it's appropriate to just use your phone, and when it would be a good time to hire a pro.
Yeah, I think so. And do you have courses, or do you talk about that on your live videos and kind of go through the whole checklist of, if you're considering doing it on your own to save cost, here's really why you should hire a photographer?
I haven't talked about that specifically. That's a good idea, though. And I know that with my new website, I actually have produced 4 videos that go on that website as well. So instead of just saying a paragraph about what I do, I recorded a video. And so I have one on my main page, but I have one for photos and 2 for videos, one for personal videos, one for business. And it does talk about that in that, like sometimes it's okay, but there are times where you need pictures for this and this and this, or video for this and this and this. So I do break it down in those videos that will be going live on my website as an evergreen piece of content.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome too. That'll just help build your library and then help drive traffic to your website and your videos too.
And what, one of the great things about pets and people photographer, it is really hard to get a picture of you and your dogs, or you and your cats and your horses and your kids. So it kind of makes sense to bring somebody else in for those pictures. If I was strictly photographing dogs, my phone does a pretty good job. So I've got a little niche there where you could be in the picture too, where it's not all your arm.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes too, we have cats. So we've got 3. I brought 2 into the house. Both of them were strays.
Oh.
And then he adopted one from Siska, or it was either the Humane Society or Siska. So they're all, cats that we have adopted. And it's funny how they're cats, so they're easily distracted. And if we're trying to get a photo, then it's just like you think you have it by the time you open it up, or you're like, okay, do I want to use my camera? Do I want to use Snapchat because it takes better photos? Like they've already moved. I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
How much nicer it is to have somebody else with the camera, so that if you're sitting there playing, then they can kind of capture the different moments, and then you can pick, the ones that actually look the best. So it really is a completely different world, or completely different, perspective of having photos.
Yeah.
Now, do you do any like collaborations with other photographers or other brands, or do you do anything unique like that?
Ooh, okay. So here's something I just started this year as well.
Awesome.
I started a networking group of pet professionals in my area. I co-founded it.
Okay.
So back in the fall, I was at an event, another friend of mine and I shared a booth there. And she said, I've always wanted to do this. I said, yeah, me too. We said, all right, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen in January. So we had 2 in-person meetings. And then since then we've been on Zoom. But so that's collaborating with all the other pet-based businesses. So dog walkers and pet sitters and groomers and dog trainers and boutiques. And so all of us try to meet up and just talk about our industry and what maybe our clients need to know. Because sometimes being in the vet world for so long, it's, somebody brought their dog in because their groomer saw something wrong with the dog. Like, oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. Or maybe there's something we need to let the public know from the vet perspective. There's all these things that would be nice if all of us professionals knew and could send it off to our communities. And then on top of that, next week, we're doing an entire online virtual summit, Pet Lovers Summit. And so it's going to be on can I say what the page is?
Yeah.
Okay. On our Facebook page, it's the NoCo, which means Northern Colorado. NoCo Pet Pack is a Facebook page, and we've created an event there called the NoCo Pet Summit. And it's for all these businesses to let people know, number one, we're open, and this is how we're doing business. So we're still here. We're still here for you, but we've been listening to them on what they need to know.
Okay.
Maybe they need to know what they can do when they go back to work to alleviate separation anxiety, things like that. So we're doing this whole summit for 2 days next week. So we're going to try that out and see how that goes. Eventually we'll do that in person, of course, but we're just jumping right in. Let's just jump right in and we'll have little blocks of information for people.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Helping each other out and then doing something virtually. And I was reading an article about that too, about animals who are going to have that separation anxiety because they've become so used to all of us being in the house constantly that once we go back to work, if we work outside the house, then all of a sudden it's going to become like this shock to their systems and they get depressed and they don't eat and it leads to a whole new set of problems. So that's awesome that you're creating that virtual summit so that other people can benefit from making healthy transitions when that happens.
For sure. And then for the people who are still at home, we have a doggy fitness person. So little things you could do at home with your dogs, or, I'll be talking about cell phone photography tips. Another pet photographer that I collaborate with quite a bit, he's going to give horse photography tips. So it's going to be pretty interesting and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Do they have cat fitness people?
Not on this one.
Need to go out for walks or something. I need to get him on the treadmill.
There is somebody that I met during the Periscope days, live streaming days, and she is a cat behaviorist in Washington State. And she's not part of the NoCo Pet Pack because she's not in Colorado. But that would be interesting because it's a virtual summit. We could just expand it. Yeah.
Exactly. Diana says separation anxiety is hard for dogs.
And especially if you consider all those dogs who don't know any different because they were adopted during the pandemic. While you've been home.
Yeah. Tracy.
Cats are going to be happy we're going back to work.
They'll be like, get out of here. I got things to do like sleep and play without you.
Want quiet time over here, people.
Tracy said, love that, Monique. Educate and inform. You're doing so much to educate and help others with their business or just pulling people together and creating a new platform essentially to help a wider audience. So I think that's awesome. My oldest daughter is going to be going to school to be a vet.
Oh, wow.
So she's pretty excited about that, but she's a little bit behind. She just got her bachelor's degree, but she'd gone down the path of actuarial science, which is all math. And she's super smart at math. And I had that conversation with her in high school, but sometimes kids have to learn the hard way. So now she's going to incur a lot more debt with, going to school, but she finally decided last year that she wanted to become a vet. And I'm like, okay, well, that was one of the things I mentioned 4 years ago, but that's okay. You do you figure it out. And she's going to apply for grad school. I think it's next fall. It just depends on when she can get all of her science classes in. But when you and I, like once I met you or you and I got connected and I started realizing, okay, here's what you do. And my mind just automatically starts going in a direction of like, what else could she do? And how does she help people? And, just start going in that direction. I was like, I wonder if Kayla would have, my daughter, I wonder if she'd have any like ideas, or if she was in that situation where she was a vet, like how would she envision helping other people like that with the collaboration. So it's something I'll have to run by her. And if she comes up with anything creative, I'll let you know.
And you know what's really great? Kayla, right?
Yeah, it's my oldest daughter. Yeah.
What's great for Kayla is oftentimes innovation comes from outside the industry. So if she's already studied something else, she can come at veterinarian practice from a completely different perspective that people that are already ingrained in the vet world would not see.
Yeah, very true.
So that's pretty cool. And I've been to the coding ceremony at CSU when you're like your first year. And many of those people that are in that, they've had like 2 bachelor's degrees and something else. Like, and now they're going into also to vet school. So it's extremely common.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured it was, but I was just like, all right. Tracy, I can imagine dogs really struggling. Yeah, I can too. Yeah. And Diana, I have to side with the cats. My neighbors need to go back to work.
Yeah,
I could see that. If you've got loud neighbors, you're like, go away, go back to work.
That's enough woodworking projects.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tom and I, my fiance, we were working at home beforehand. So, and he works in the mortgage industry, so he works from home. So our cats really don't have much of a transition.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, man, can't you guys leave more often just to like give us the house so we can have our secret parties?
Yeah, the next time you go out on a date, we're doing it for the cats.
Yeah, exactly. We got to give them some space. That's fine.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, what are your how you go live on YouTube live once a week? Is that right?
Yeah.
So on Mondays?
I'm going live on Mondays at 1:00 Mountain at this point.
Okay.
There is a graph now on YouTube. You can see when your people are online, but that just seems to work for me. And my produced videos come out on Friday mornings.
Okay. All right. So I'll include the links to subscribe to your channel in the description so that people can connect with you that way. And like I mentioned earlier, all your contact information is there too. Let me ask you one last question. Well, first, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I'd written some notes, but I think we've gone over everything already. I just been having so much fun.
I know.
Chatting with you.
I'm getting used to it. It's been a while since I've interviewed anybody for my podcast either. So just to have the one-on-one conversation I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to have a conversation about, asking questions. And so.
Yeah, I know I did 2 podcast / radio interviews this week too. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting out.
It does, doesn't it? Because now we're connecting with people.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Tracy says cats have a way of looking at you that says, you still here? I agree, because they do. They just kind of like walk around the corner. It's almost like they have a big sigh, like, oh, you're still here. We see it often.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, one last question. So if there's like your target audience, if there's one thing that you want them to know about you or your business that maybe they don't already know, what would that one thing be?
As far as my services that I offer video also. So either the entire production all the way down to editing footage you have. So that's a big message I'm trying to get out to people, photography and videography. Okay.
Is that going to be incorporated into the website redesign as well?
Absolutely. That was one of the main reasons I'm redoing the website is I had nothing about video on the last one.
Yeah. I've actually got it pulled up. I'm going to see if I can, let me see if I can do this real quick just so we can share it.
Okay.
Oh, can you see it? Yeah, but I can't see you. So let me do this real quick and see if I can.
I'm
not sharing it. That's why. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so now we got 2. I knew how to do this last week. Dang it. Oh, share screen. All right, let me try it again. I go here and share.
Oh, okay. Something's happening.
Yeah, that's just, I need to switch it.
There. Okay. Yeah. There's my website.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is your website, which is really cool. Cause I think I was telling you this before we went live, your, like the different pets. Look at that picture. Oh my God. They're so fucking cute. There's so many of them. I love them. I just wanted to show people because they're so cute.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so many tales. That's what I say about everything. It's not stories so much, it's tales with tales.
Yeah, exactly.
Every one of those photos, I can remember the session and stories about them. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You have those documented someplace on your website?
I'm kind of bad at blogging, but I have some blogs, and my podcast started that way as tales from myself and clients. And then I started on this radio show. So the radio interviews have kind of taken over my podcast. But yeah, I love recording those.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say those have got to be really cool stories.
Yeah.
So unique with each person, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Fun will now commence. With cats, you have to watch out for them trying to set up their treadmills. Yeah, exactly. I need my one to set up one in every room, so wherever he goes, he can step on it. He really is a funky monkey. I was like, oh my gosh. I try to cut back on his food, and I'm like, maybe I need to be that cat lady that takes her cat for a walk.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Tracy. She's enjoyed our chat. It's been so good to have you here. Thank you for making this your very first live on YouTube. I appreciate it.
So exciting.
Yeah, Diana, you got it. Aw. The pictures were so cute. All right. Is there anything else you want to share? Like, where would be the best place for people to contact you besides like on YouTube? Where would you want people to go and find you?
I'm trying to make my website be the central hub. So silverpawstudio.com. And that has links to a bunch of different things that I do, like podcast, radio, YouTube, email lists. I'm in a lot of the places. I even sometimes TikTok, but let's not go there.
I'm on there too, but I've produced one video with the cats, and it's really stupid.
I mostly like to watch everything on TikTok because it's fun, hysterical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good laugh. I highly recommend getting on TikTok only for that reason, because you can literally turn a bad moment into a really quick, like fun, laughable moment, because there's so much out there.
Yeah. But as far as, I try to make my website my hub.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Like I mentioned, I'll have the link in the description. And then also let me do this handy dandy banner that I created.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Here it is. So that's
there I am. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Silver Paw Studio. No S, right?
Yep. Not plural. Silver Paw Studio.
Yeah. So that is a clickable link in the description. We'll turn that off. Again, her YouTube and contact information is in the description too. And then I'm going to pull up your sign off.
Oh, I say this in every email and every live stream. Are you ready? As always, I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATS.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Monique. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. And thanks everybody for joining.
Bye.